Hello, Mr. Smith. I'm here with my mom, and today I'm going to be interviewing April Lindo about her witness accounts and how she perceived 9/11. So, Mom, can you just give me the story, the rundown of how when 9/11 originally happened, where were you and what were you doing?
Sure. So I was at home and had the news on in the morning before work, which was pretty typical at that time. And I had my coffee and was getting ready and saw on the news that there was an aircraft that had hit one of the Twin Towers. And I thought that was really odd. Why would an aircraft hit the Twin Towers? But the newscaster that was reporting the story said they weren't sure what had gone on, but they were characterizing the situation like it was an accident. So I thought, wow, that's really terrible.
Yeah, it's a pretty terrible accident.
Yeah. But at that time, I saw the airplane fly into the towers, and then we saw some smoke coming out.
You saw it on the TV when it actually happened,
right when it
live stream.
Yes, it was happening live. I thought, oh, that's terrible. But considering we were thinking it's an accident, it's a tragic accident. But I finished getting ready to go to work and then left for work.
Okay. And as you said, you perceived it as, or America perceived it as an accident at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And now we know today that it was found out to not be an accident and actually be a hijacking terrorist attack.
Mm-hmm.
When did you end up finding that out, and how did that change your view on the situation?
So after I got to work, we had...
The
same day. Got to work. Well, I go to work pretty early, you know that, right? So I think it might have been, I'm not sure the exact time, but maybe about 9 o'clock that morning. We're in a big meeting room, meeting with suppliers that were in from Scotland. And we interrupted the entire meeting because somebody came in and reported that it was now being characterized as a terrorist event.
Wow, so someone just ran into your busy room and just gave some almost somewhat irrelevant news.
Not irrelevant, but they did come in and they interrupted the meeting because
wow.
That was a huge breaking news, as they say, right?
Wow, that really honestly opens my perspective, because I can't imagine something like being interrupted at a workplace just to share some news. I feel like that really shows how such a important event this was to all Americans.
Well, people didn't have smartphones then.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense as well.
So it was somebody, I'm not sure exactly how they heard about the news, but everybody stopped, of course, what we were doing, and then we talked to each other about that. I think a lot of us, I felt in shock about the information, because I really didn't know how to comprehend a terrorist attack, and there wasn't much information available at the time, and so it's really a new feeling for me personally, and I think for the other people in the room too. Obviously, we stopped trying to do our business, and really were talking about what was happening in the United States.
Right. Wow, that is very interesting. So flashing forward a bit, how do you think this event really altered your perspective on both America, airplanes, and terrorism?
Well, I had traveled fairly extensively before you were born, before your sister was born, and I never really had the feeling that I had to worry about letting people know that I was from the United States or American, because being American was treated favorably in the places that I traveled. But it really, after 9/11, it made me think about that and how much you wanted to share with other people, because it gave me a new perspective that not everybody likes Americans, that we are a targeted population for certain terrorist groups at least, and that we really required a lot of sensitivity because my job requires that I travel.
On airplanes.
Yes, on airplanes. Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting how other countries perceived you as American. How did you yourself end up perceiving America?
I felt like America was not the safe place that it had been before.
Okay.
I feel like it was changed forever because of that event, because I never in my wildest dreams would have thought about terrorists coming in and essentially killing people in a very dramatic way in the United States.
Wow, yeah. In today's world, in my eyes, with all these school shootings and other just absolutely terrible atrocities occurring across the country, it's almost just normal to me now.
Right.
But
there's so much violence.
Yeah, it's
these
interesting
days.
to hear that before 9/11, you weren't as prepared to hear about such a terrible thing happening.
Absolutely.
So to wrap up this interview, I remember you saying before the interview that you ended up traveling to a country in the Middle East with a larger Muslim population. Can you talk about that experience?
Well, actually,
After 9/11.
It was not in the Middle East, but in 2011, I traveled for work to Malaysia, and
that's 10 years after.
Yes, 10 years after 9/11, and the location I needed to visit was up in the northern part of Malaysia, a fairly rural area, not the big city of Kuala Lumpur.
All right.
And so there's also a heavily Muslim population in Malaysia, and so I really was looking around, and I like to go walk around in towns where I am, stretch my legs after being in the car or on the airplane, go see a new place. So I walked around in the small town a bit, and I noticed that there's a lot of traditional Muslim dress, women wearing burqas, and so I thought, I think I will just keep this walk pretty short and pretty close to the hotel, since women who are not wearing traditional dress and Western women probably weren't quite as welcome there. So I just headed back to the hotel pretty quickly after that.
Okay. And do you think you would see any differences in your experience with visiting this country after 9/11 or before 9/11? Or do you think there was any differences in 9/11 happening that affected your experience in Malaysia?
Yeah, it made me more sensitive to cultures that don't traditionally welcome American lifestyle, dress, and the rights of women.
Right.
So it definitely made a difference.
Yeah, but they probably perceived Americans a little differently as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you for this very insightful interview. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bye.